How's it going?
It's going good.
Welcome to a very awesome special episode that we have for you guys of Talking Interference Sports. I'm Nick.
I'm Eric.
And this is Sean Pillowfish Stillwell. Our off-screen guy Justin's not here today. So, shout out Justin. Sean, thank you for your service in the Navy.
No problem.
He's back visiting, so we decided we wanted to have him on. And we're also going to be go Mariners, Sounders, and Seahawks. Float. Dude, I'm telling you, all of these teams are doing great right. Well, not the Seahawks, but everybody. Yo, is that ex-Seahawks player? Yeah, so we're going to have Robbie Tobeck call us on the phone. And we're going to do an interview with Robbie Tobeck. Robbie Tobeck is a center, or was a center for the Seahawks and the Atlanta Falcons from 93 to 99. Mm-hmm. And then with the Seahawks from 2000 to 2006.
Yep.
So, he's going to be joining us by phone. So we will be talking to him. But, again, if you didn't know, we're Talking Interference Sports. I'm Nick. This is Eric. We got Sean.
Pillowfish.
Talking Interference Sports is brought to you by the Game Changer Sports Network. We're partnered with them. So please go follow all of their social media. All right. Tabby's Coffee is located in the Everett Library. If you're looking for some good coffee out there, go get some coffee. Tell her Talking Interference Sports sent you. They'll hook you up. And if you're going to a sporting event or a concert, go to SeatGeek.com. 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 You can get $20 off your purchase. Use promo code GCSN. Check out Jeff's Basement. Check out Rockcast. Check out the Seattle Area Podcast Facebook group. Start your own podcast. Welcome to episode 33. Today's date is April 10th. In 2005, on April 10th, the 69 U.S. Masters Tournament, Tiger Woods wins his fourth green jacket in the first hole in a playoff match against Chris DeMarco. Ooh. 1936 NFL coach and sports commentator. We all know him. We all love him. John Madden. Happy birthday, John Madden. He turned 83 today.
One of the greatest coaches of all time.
One of the greatest coaches of all. So he's a Raiders fan, so I'm sure he loves John Madden more than any of the rest of us.
He does have the highest winning percentage in all NFL.
Is it higher than Bill Belichick now?
It is.
Still?
Yeah, because he only did 10 seasons.
10 seasons?
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it. Okay. Well, shout out John Madden. I like it. I miss your X's and O's. So we do have an entire show following the Robbie Tobeck interview. We're basically just waiting on Robbie to call us at this point. So those are our intros. How's it going, Dennis? How are you? Always a pleasure. So I don't know what you guys want to talk about in the meantime while we're waiting for Robbie.
Well, we're talking about the Mariners. Kind of want to talk about how they get no respect in the rankings. They still have
They still
have like the Red Sox, and
the Red Sox are doing horrible, and they're still getting talked way more about than the Mariners are. Mariners were the first team to hit double digits this year. You know what's crazy? What really upsets me the most about it is the Mariners look out tonight. They are about to tie the most consecutive home runs in a game, or most consecutive games with a home run. If they get a home run tonight, they tie it 14. Is it 14? Yeah, 14. Mm-hmm. And they'll be playing the Royals tonight. So check out for that. You know the Mariners are going to do it. I believe in them.
I believe it. Yeah.
I believe in it. True to the blue. I believe this is Robbie right here. So here we go. Hello?
Hey, is this Nick?
Yes, it is. Is this Robbie?
Yeah, it is. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Great.
So glad to have you with us.
I appreciate it.
Again, we are now joined by Robbie Tobeck, two-time NFC champion, once with the Hawks and once with the Falcons, and a Washington State University Cougar alumni. How's it going?
I lost you there. Are you guys there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
All right,
Go ahead.
perfect. So how's it going for you?
Oh, things are going pretty good. Just living a life and getting out on the water when I can and working hard in the office during the day and, just doing things normal, I guess.
How did you get into the insurance business? What is the name of your company? Griffin McLean?
Yeah, Griffin McLean Insurance.
Okay.
And I started working in the insurance business when I was still playing football. Probably about 2000, and as you know, I didn't retire until it was 2006. And so, actually, before that, in the 90s, when I was in Atlanta, I was looking into the insurance business and things like that. So, opportunities came up for me to do some internships. That's one good thing about what the NFL started doing during my career was offering, looking for internship opportunities for most players, because most guys aren't going to, we're looking at Russell Wilson now renegotiating his contract, and he's talking about $100 million+ deal and all these things. And that's great for those guys that they're able to get that. But most guys aren't going to be in that situation when they leave the game, and they're going to need to work, and they're going to have to carry on and do other things. And NFL works hard to provide those internships. So I took advantage of that, and I really enjoyed the insurance business. And it's been so when we lost to Chicago in the playoffs, and I had announced my retirement, and then I went to Costa Rica and fished for 2 weeks. I came back and I was in the office. I had a really easy career transition. I kind of had things in place, and so I'm glad I spent some time in some of those off seasons doing some interning and learning a new business, and was able to walk into something once my playing career was over.
That's a really solid backup plan. Not a lot of guys in your position are going to last 14 seasons, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I remember, Chris Gray, we were rookies the same year. He was in Miami. I was in Atlanta, and it was 93. And I remember we were, obviously together towards the end of our careers here in Seattle. And I think we were probably year 13 each. And I remember when the rookies came up and asked, what the secret was. He asked Chris Gray what the secret was to playing a long time. And Chris Gray told him, well, you just got to kind of be lucky and stay healthy. And then he came and asked me, and I told him the same exact thing, separately. It's just, a lot of guys, their career ends before they're ready, whether, they get cut, they never make it, they get cut, whatever it might be. And the other reason is your body doesn't hold up, and you get hurt. And I was fortunate that I was able to stay healthy. And once I became a starter in my third or fourth year, whatever it was, I didn't miss many games because, and so you don't give the guy behind you a lot of opportunity when you're the starter and you're staying healthy and staying on top of things and working hard.
Wow, man. It's just injuries are really unpredictable. I mean, you can't really, it can happen out of nowhere. So
that's right.
So I saw that you're from Florida, but you live in Seattle now. What made you decide to stick around? Was it the insurance business?
Well, I've still got a little place. I got a house down in Florida still, and I'm actually going to go down there this weekend and do a little fishing and whatnot. But yeah, I get down there when I can. My family's all still down there. I like to get out of the cold and windy rain that we're having, the Seattle weather we're having today. I like to get down there and get a little sunshine when I can. But there's a combination of things. When I retired, my kids were a little older. They were kind of established in school. I had the opportunity with Griffin McLean to come in and be an owner there. And so you combine all those different opportunities, and it just makes sense to stay. Plus, being a Washington State alum, all my, friends and connections from college and stuff and Cougars and everything were a big part of that as well.
Okay. All right. So with you being in the Seattle area as much as you are, do you consider yourself a Seahawks fan now or Seattle sports fan?
Oh yeah, I'm a sports fan for sure. I'd say first and foremost, I'm a football fan.
Okay.
I just love football. Even with this Alliance of American Football that just just folded up last week.
Right.
Yeah,
I was watching their games. I just love football, and I think that just never gets out of you when you're around as much as I was, and when you wanted it as much as I did when I was a kid coming up. So. I think for me, it's the love of football, and so if it's on, I'm watching it. I like to watch games. I like to go to games, all those types of things, college, pros. But then when the Seahawks are on, I watch the Seahawks, and then I root for the Seahawks and stuff like that. But one of the other things I do is I root for people I know too, whether it's an old coach that's with a team like the Minnesota Vikings. I kind of root for them a little bit because Coach Zimmer was my D coordinator when I was at Washington State University, and we stayed in touch through the years. And I just really like the guy, So you get relationships too that you root for sometimes as well. But if I still root for the Hawks, and I still want the home team to win it.
Okay. So out of your 14 years of being in a professional team, and then some odd years before that, who would you say impacted you the most to shape the player that you became in your football career?
Well, I'd say the guy that impacted me the most, probably Jack Thompson, who was the throwing Samoan, who was at Washington State, played in the NFL. I met him when he was kind of finishing up his career in Tampa with the Bucs, and I'd say he had the biggest influence on me just for the fact that he helped me throughout my career. I met him when I was a senior in high school. Helped me get to college. Helped me get to Washington State. Was there for advice for me throughout those years, late high school, college, early years in the pros. Was always had good, timely advice for me and stuff like that. So he's a guy that I consider a big brother figure to me, and I love him dearly, and he's been a rock for me, and he's someone I know I can call and get the straight scoop from, and that's one of the things I love about him, and his willingness to share with just some kid that he met playing basketball, so that's special. And then as a player, you always, you watch guys. I watched a lot of guys on film as I was a young lineman trying to be a good lineman. Of course, George Arno, I'd have to throw him in there too, who, was a great influence on me and as a coach in college and my first offensive line coach, and taught me the stuff in a year and a half of playing O-line for him at Washington State, the stuff that I used throughout my NFL career, and the techniques and different things like that. So he was a great influence. It was always there for me. So I appreciate that. But then, like I was saying, you watch guys, you watch veterans on your team, how they conduct yourself, the guys that you want to be like, how hard they work, how they conduct themselves, how they handle themselves. Clay Matthews was one of those guys, not the Clay Matthews that just that went from the Packers to the Rams recently, but the one, his dad. I knew little Clay when he was just a little guy running around the locker room, but guys like that, and then guys you watched, his brother Bruce Matthews, I would watch him on film all the time and try to emulate some of the stuff he did, because he was such a great offensive lineman, and you want to pattern yourself and after guys like that, and try to learn techniques from them, things like that. So there's just a lot of guys that have an influence on you as you go throughout your career, and you have to be thankful for all those relationships.
Okay. I actually really like that answer.
Yeah,
that was really awesome. So I got a listener question for you. Fro wants to know, what local radio station do you listen to? I'm assuming you listen to 710 quite a bit due to your previous affiliation with them, but do you have a specific radio station?
I don't listen to sports radio. So
Okay.
I never really have. As a player, I didn't listen to it because, I just, I didn't read the paper. I didn't listen to, sports radio. If we lost, I didn't watch ESPN because I didn't want to, I just kind of stayed away from that stuff. But I don't listen to it much. I do listen to the Outdoor Line when I'm up on Saturday mornings and stuff like that because you mentioned my affiliation to them. So I do listen to the fishing show there. Those are, Rob and Tom are good buddies of mine. And I had, a good, I don't know, 3 or 4 year run on the show when I was a part of it and stuff. And we had a lot of fun. But if it's I do, awesome. I'll turn on Brock and those guys. I do like listening to Brock and stuff. And Don Clayton, of course, if I want some football scoop. But I don't know. I'm a channel flipper, man. I listen to all kinds of music. I listen to other talk radio. 770 there. I'm a channel flipper, man. I'm just pushing buttons all the time and trying to find the perfect song. Like I'll be listening to a good song, but it's just by the time you get about halfway through it, I'm ready for the next song. So I guess I don't know if I got a short attention span or what it is.
Okay. So I got a question about the season that you guys had with Alexander. Can you describe the feeling that you and the other guys on the O-line had knowing that you had blocked your way to an MVP season for Sean Alexander and blocking for him to get a single season touchdown record?
Well, that was one of those things that during the season, you don't really think about it. I mean, we're just going out. We want to win football games and do our job, and we knew that Sean was one of the weapons that we had on our offense. That if we could get him going, and we had a good shot at winning. So you just, every week's a new challenge. Every week is a new. It's like you hear, these standard canned answers from Russell Wilson all the time. It sounds like, you're talking to Pete Carroll, or you look at the Patriots and then, we're on to the next game, And that's really how it's got to be in my mind. And you just keep moving through the season, and then all of a sudden you get to the end of the season and you're like, wait a minute. We got a chance to set a record here. I think it was the Green Bay game we were going into the last game of the year that year. And you're saying, we got a chance to set a record, a touchdown record. We got to go get this. Let's go get this. You don't get those opportunities very much, especially as an offensive lineman. Right. You don't get a lot of the individual accolades that other positions get. So we had really determined and really wanted that record, and was glad that we got the opportunity to get that thing, and Mike gave us that opportunity in that last game to go out and get that record. So yeah, it's a great feeling of accomplishment. It's humbling to have those types of opportunities in your career, to play long enough to be exposed to some of that, and it's something that I do cherish, and I'm thankful that I was able to be a part of it.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on the Seahawks season last year, reaching the playoffs during what some were calling a rebuild year?
Well, I was really proud of them last year. I really thought that, I thought it was going to be an 8-8 team last year. I'm not going to lie. I thought that they were going to be somewhere between 7-9 and 9-7, but I just didn't think, I thought it was a rebuilding year. That's what we all thought. Yeah. And, but it shows you one thing in this league that, the offensive line came together and started playing really well once we got into the season. And so you win up front, both offensive and defensive lines. I mean, you win up front. And then if you have a quarterback, you can win in the NFL. There's just not 32 guys in the world that can be a great starting quarterback in the NFL, and we got one of those guys, and that's why you got to pay those guys, because there's just not enough of them. So, right. So it's if you got a quarterback, you've got a shot in the NFL, and that showed last year for the Seahawks.
Being a former Atlanta Falcon yourself, how do you feel about the Super Bowl 51 with the blown lead?
Oh man, that one hurt kind of. It's just like make one play in the second half, right? You just need to make one play, and but boy, you got to give the Patriots credit. For what they've done. I root against them all the time. I'm not gonna lie. I root against them if they're playing, but I sure as heck respect them to be able to.
Definitely.
to do what they've done for as long as they've done it and at the level they've done it is, I don't think, I'll never see it again in my lifetime. I can't imagine. I doubt anyone else will. It's been an amazing run for those guys, and so got to really respect what it is they do.
I think that's really the epitome of a dynasty there.
Oh, big time.
Oh yeah, I mean that's when you talk about dynasties in the NFL. That's number one, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And especially, it's not like it used to be. Like when I was a kid, I grew up a Cowboys fan, and it was the Cowboys and Steelers, and the Cowboys made the playoffs. Like I think it was 18 years in a row or whatever. So you call that a dynasty. And the Steelers won 4 Super Bowls in the 70s or whatever it was. You got to call that a dynasty. But those teams, once they were together, they stayed together, right? Until guys retired. And nowadays, you got free agency, so guys are moving teams, skipping teams. You lose this guy, you add another guy, and they still win. And that's what the amazing thing about it is.
So, what are your expectations for the Seahawks this year coming up?
Well, I haven't really set any expectations yet. You got to wait until the draft. And there's always like a little second flurry after the draft, like June time frame of free agency. So we'll see what they come up with there. You got to expect. The rumor is that they're going to make some moves in the draft, and hopefully get a few more draft picks. So we'll see what happens. And I'd love to see a nice big. I'd love to see a big, huge, tall receivers.
That's what I'm thinking too.
And of course, you always, and then I think if they can get a big playmaker like that, and then just show up a few other spots. You get another offensive lineman, another defensive lineman, and just plug a few holes. I think they got a shot at being pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. So you got a block for Matt Hasselbeck, who's probably one of the best Seahawks we've ever seen. But he had a very traditional pocket passer style. When you see a quarterback like Russell Wilson, who often breaks out of the pocket, do you feel it's a little bit more difficult as an offensive lineman yourself to deal with, having to block his angles?
The way that Russell scrambles, there's no question it's more difficult. And Matt used to do this to us sometimes too. When you watch Russell, like you watch Peyton Manning, when he played, he was never classified as a scrambling quarterback,
right.
But he had great feet in the pocket, and he stepped up. You saw how he would drop back, he would step up, he would work side to side, and they just couldn't sack him, right? They couldn't get their hands on him. Well, Russell, what he does is he'll just start running backwards and turn around and kind of do the flippy deal and stuff. And you get so mad at him as an offensive lineman, you say, why are you doing it? Because those tackles are pushing their guys that way. And sometimes he does it when he doesn't have to. And so you go, what is he doing? He's making these guys look bad, and this and that. And then all of a sudden he throws it to Doug Baldwin for 50 yards down the field when they win the game.
Yeah.
So it's you got to kind of take the good with the bad. But it does put his lineman in a bad position sometimes. And I think he hits the panic button a little too fast. But then on the, conversely, you say, well, he hasn't had the protection, so he's gonna panic quick because he's been getting hit. So, but they'll continue to work on those things, and that's part of it. Is you're fine tuning your game. I remember my last practice, my last year, 14 years in the NFL, and I'm working on pad level and trying to get better and trying to stay low and those types of things. So you're constantly trying to fine tune your game.
All right, this one's going to be a tough question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What are your thoughts on the infamous 2004 wild card game against Green Bay when Matt said, we want the ball and we're going to score?
Oh, I loved it. I had no problem with it because every man on that sideline said we wanted the ball because we felt like we were going to score and we were going to win that game. He just, Matt in his own way just came out with it,
Yeah.
And so, every player in the NFL, when you're heading into overtime, especially in that type of situation, do or die, playoff game type situation, you got to have that confidence that you're going to get it done and you are going to score that touchdown. Now, didn't turn out, but, you can't put all that on Matt either,
For sure.
A lot of times offense is timing. And if one guy is a yard off of another guy, then the timing gets thrown off. And, on a pass, and it makes it look bad. But it was what it was, and he said it, and we thought we had his back, and it just, as you know, it didn't go our way.
All right, so you played in 2 Super Bowls. Which one of those impacted you the most?
Well, they both hurt. I mean, yeah, it's just different. You hear people say that you never get over losing the Super Bowl, and I can, I agree with that. You just never do. You look at our Super Bowl here with the Seahawks, and doggone it, man. If it was just a different day,
Right.
And look, I don't go around blaming the refs, because that whole year we overcame bad calls, we overcame penalties, we overcame turnovers, we overcame things to win football games. And in the Super Bowl, we didn't overcome things to win the football game. But boy, it was bad. It was really bad, and maybe it was too much to overcome. When you look at the touchdown that wasn't, the offsides didn't get called, and then they called holding on Sean. There's all these different things. The push off in the end zone. I guess there was 2 touchdowns. Darryl Talley one and the Roethlisberger one where he didn't get it. So there's those are momentum changing plays, and momentum swings in a game. That's what can win a game for you. So it was tough. And then in Atlanta we had the whole Eugene Robinson situation, and that was a distraction on game day. So both Super Bowls I thought we were going to win. I thought I was on the better team. We had great weeks of practice, but then on game day we didn't finish it out. And that's what being a champion's all about, is being able to finish it out. And it's one of those things that I'll regret it the rest of my life, is that I was that close twice and wasn't able to close the deal. But on the flip side, though, you got to be thankful that I was able to play in that game twice. But
We
you certainly want to win it if you get there.
We often preach over here on Talking Interference Sports about not blaming the refs as an issue, because, not saying you guys didn't play good, but, if you guys had just played a little bit better, it could have – the bad calls wouldn't have made that much of a difference,
Right.
Pretty terrible calls.
They were really, really bad calls, but, it's –
Well, it's just it's momentum. It's momentum plays. We go down, D-Jack scores. They call it back.
Right.
Roethlisberger looked like he was down on the 1. They call it a touchdown.
Right.
There's a couple other things, and we had a long. I remember during the game. Again, when I'm in a game, I wasn't thinking about stuff, but I just remembered that game. After we ran a punt down the sideline, it was a pretty good return. They call it holding, and I just remember running on the field thinking to myself, gosh, every time we get a good play, we get it called back, or we have a penalty. And I wasn't thinking, well, the refs were making bad calls. I just remember thinking, every time we have a good play, we have a penalty. And I was thinking, well, they must be good calls, and it was just a frustration at that time, But again, like I said earlier, all year long we overcame that stuff, and we weren't able to finish it that game. And you gotta look in the mirror, in those situations.
Okay. We got a couple more football questions, and then we want to ask you some fishing questions or outdoors questions, if you don't mind. You still got the time?
Yeah, works for me.
Okay. So in preparation for talking to you, I found a lot of articles where you had not so fine of a moment with the Redskins. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I had a thing where if you get it, they have to report it to the CDC.
Right.
And if a few cases of it breaks out, they've literally quarantined towns before.
Oh wow!
And so that's the level of what I had going on in my stomach at that time, and it hit me. We flew to DC on a Friday night, and Hutch was my roommate. And it hit me that night, and we called the trainer, and the trainer's like, "You get out of the room, Hutch." So they got Hutch another hotel room. They always have a couple extras for situations like this. I guess I'm not the first, but I didn't go to walkthrough on Saturday. I didn't go to meetings on Saturday. I did not leave my room. And this thing is one of these situations where it comes and goes for over the course of weeks. There's not a whole lot they can do. I lost 20 pounds. And I remember for that Washington game, Coach Holmgren, I walked by him and he just says, "Tough it out." So we play the game, and they had a nose guard at the time. His name was Big Daddy Wilkerson, right? So when you got a nickname Big Daddy, you know he's a big fella.
Yeah.
I'm pushing on him as hard as I can push, and we're fighting and stuff. And all of a sudden, Sean Alexander's a run and play right up the middle. He runs right to my back. And with all the effort I was giving, and then it hit the back, I lost it. I admitted I did. So I'm laying there thinking, well, do I go to the sidelines now, or do I get back in the huddle? And I was like, well, I'm not coming out of the game. So I went back in the huddle, and I'm thinking, do I tell Hasselbeck to go shotgun? Or I just let it ride. So I just let it ride, and then we ended up punting the ball on the drive, and I went and got a change of pants and stuff like that.
Oh.
It was a bad situation, but
Hey, I like that you stayed out there.
Yeah.
it was.
Like that.
But I fought through it.
I like it. All right,
Yeah.
so you mentioned it earlier, but Russell Wilson came up with a deadline for his contract. Where do you stand on that one?
Whatever. You can have all the deadlines you want, but I guarantee you, if Seahawks call his agent in August and say, "Hey, by the way, we're going to offer this," they're going to listen. So, I mean, I don't think that deadline means a whole lot.
Okay. All right.
But that's fine. He's just trying to force the issue and get something done, and we'll go from there. But he's not going to not listen to offers from the Seahawks. I guarantee that.
Right.
His agent won't let him.
Okay. So, couple fishing questions for you here.
Sure.
All right. So, I read online, so you got to tell me how true this is that you set out a couple crawfish pots and they got confiscated by the Wildlife Federation or the fishing department.
Yeah.
And the enforcer ended up getting like an autograph for you, and you ended up still getting a citation?
Well, so it's when I was doing the Outdoor Line radio show. And, so on a crab pot, if you go buy a crab trap or crab pot, however you call it, or shrimp one, so you can go shrimping and crabbing out in Puget Sound, they automatically come rigged with this cotton cord. And the purpose of that is if you lose your trap, tide takes it out or something like that, or your float breaks off, whatever it might be, that cord will rot. So any crab or shrimp or anything that get in there, they'll be able to get out. They won't just get in there and die. So crawfish pots have to be rigged the same way, but they don't come that way. And so I was assumed you could buy them the way they were, and you could use them that way. And so I bought it and used it, had no problem. And all of a sudden one day my crawfish pots were gone, and I was missing. And I was kind of venting about it on the show. And unbeknownst to me, the Fish and Wildlife agent knew Tom Nelson, my co-host, who we're always playing practical jokes on everybody. And he said, "Hey, can you help me get in touch with Tobeck? We got his pots. He was fishing without rock cord on them, and he was fishing illegally." So Tom said, "Oh, great. Can you come on the show next Saturday?" So here we are. We're talking about it on the show, and I'm still hot because I'm thinking somebody stole my pots. And all of a sudden I see this Fish and Wildlife guy in his uniform come walking in with my pots. I'm going, "Oh, crap. What did I do? What did I do?" And so he cited me on the air and all that stuff. So my buddy Nelly was pretty proud of himself and was feeling pretty good about himself for shutting me up like that. But yeah, it was pretty funny deal, I guess.
That's good to know, since I just bought a crawfish pot.
Yeah, you gotta tweak it. And if it's one like I bought, you gotta tweak it. Make sure you got the cotton rod cord so
Yeah, I don't think
If
mine
you
came
lose
with
it,
that.
that cord will rot and the crawfish can get out, so it doesn't keep harvesting.
Right.
So.
I listened to your interview on the Outdoor Line last Saturday. Can you tell all the guys who didn't hear about that a little bit about what your son Madden is doing out there at Washington State?
Yeah, no, Madden is into bass fishing. This kid is bass fishing crazy and has recently won the Albertsons Open here on Lake Washington. Him and his partner Kai Wickstrom, they won that tournament, and so that was a nice win for him. That was an open tournament. But what he's got going at Washington State is he started a bass club. It's a club sport, like rugby and a couple other sports at Washington State, and it's a club that's recognized by the university. He had to go through the process of setting that up, but what that allows him to do is fish on the FLW college series, and so they'll be competing against schools like Oregon State, Oregon. I know Eastern has a team, USC. There's quite a few schools up and down the West Coast, and then there's a ton of schools back east, and particularly in the Southeast that fish these tournaments. So he's been raising money, getting things ready. They've got their first tournament down in Clear Lake in California in May. So he's excited about fishing that as a Washington State Cougar representing the school with this club team. And so I'm really proud of him as a freshman for going through the process and setting that up and stepping out and getting outside of his comfort zone a little bit and raising money and doing the things he needed to do to get this club going. So pretty excited.
That's cool. That's really cool.
So do any of your other boys play football?
Yeah, Matt and Mason both played in high school. Mason is at Utah State.
Okay.
He got hurt last year, hurt his neck, so he's not able to play anymore, but he's transitioning into the coaching profession.
Okay.
And right now he's helping out with spring ball as a student coach, and he's looking to catch on. He graduates in May. He wants to go be a GA somewhere, an assistant coach somewhere, and start working his way up through the ranks and coaching football.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yep.
What made you decide that you wanted to do the Outdoor Line when you were done with football, and what ultimately had you walking away from the show?
Well, I wanted to do it because two reasons. The guys I was doing it with, Tom Nelson, Rob Endley, I love those guys. They're two of my best friends, and we have a lot of fun, and just fun guys to be around. And so working with them was a lot of fun. And I guess what made me kind of walk away from it, just time. Just running my insurance business during the week, and then getting up early Saturday morning and do the show and stuff like that just takes time away. Like I mentioned earlier, I like to get down to Florida when I can, and staying here on a 3-day weekend or 4-day weekend or whatever to do the show and not go. I was like, I'd rather be going to Florida. So, but I still hop on. I'm gonna guest host the show. I think June 1st, I think it is, and do some stuff like that. So I still participate and still like to be on the show from time to time and hang out with those guys. But just the week in, week out grind of it, I decided to just give it up and walk away from it.
Okay. We have a viewer question for you about Pete Carroll. They want to know what your opinion of Pete Carroll as a coach is.
Well, I didn't think when he got hired, I didn't think it was a great hire. I thought he was better suited as a college coach, and I thought some of his stuff would not play well with NFL guys and stuff like that. But I'm man enough to admit I was completely wrong. He's obviously had great success here in the NFL. He's gone through coordinator changes, coaching changes, different players, all those things, and he's continued to be successful. And I thought last year was probably maybe one of his best coaching jobs ever, with new coordinators and a lot of new players and new faces and stuff like that. It's supposed to be a rebuilding year, and they were a really good team last year. So you gotta go hats off to him and give him credit. it's different than any coach I'd ever had, but it works. And he's been the one constant through all the different changes they've had. So, I've grown to appreciate him and appreciate his style and respect him for being a good coach.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I just have one question. Who, in your opinion, do you think out of your whole football career is the greatest coach you have ever had?
I like Coach Holmgren. I had Dan Reeves, who I went to the Super Bowl with in Atlanta, and I thought his motivation his motivation was negative all the time, and I think that works at a point, and then you can overdo it, and guys turn it off. And I had June Jones, who gave me a great shot to be a starter, and all those, and both those coaches were good to me. But June, I felt like sometimes, wasn't hard enough. Guys took advantage of him, as a player's coach. And then I thought Mike was a good combination of the two. Mike would get in your grill, and he'd get in your grill quick. But you also knew where you stood with him. And when you did good, he patted you on the back and he let you know it. And I respected that about him. I appreciated that about him. And at my time in the NFL, I had 4 different head coaches, and he was, in my opinion, by far and away the best head coach I ever had. And I had some great coaches in college too, but Mike was a heck of a head coach, and I enjoyed playing for him. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Okay, so I want to just ask a couple more of these fishing questions, and we'll go ahead and let you get out of here.
Sounds good.
All right, so do you do a lot of salmon fishing around here? You like the salmon fishing?
I do. I get out in Puget Sound, salmon fish in the summertime. I don't do a lot of blackmouth fishing in the winter, although it's been pretty good here lately. But I do like to get out and salmon fish. I love to go to Westport. My favorite thing to do is go to Westport and tuna fish.
Okay.
But unfortunately, with the weather and the whole thing and going trailer into Westport and all that, you don't get to go as much as you'd like. But I do everything from bass fishing in the lake to tuna fishing out in the ocean to salmon fishing, bling cod, whatever, shrimp and crab, and I just like being out on the water.
My big question with the salmon fishing is, I gotta know, do you run downriggers or do you like to mooch?
I run downriggers. I do like to mooch. My buddy Rob Ensley, I'll go to Alaska and salmon fish with him coming up in June, and we'll do a lot of mooching up there. But I do like to mooch, probably more, but I just think in Puget Sound sometimes, I don't know if we always have the numbers, and the concentrations of fish like to do, and I think trolling's more effective to cover ground.
Okay. So in Western Washington, I know you said you like to fish for pretty much anything. What's your preferred fish you like to go out there for on the Sound?
Oh, on the Sound?
Yeah.
Probably lingcod. I love the bottom fish. I get that from my dad. I wish we had more opportunities to do that in the state. But I'd say in the state as a whole, it would be tuna fishing. But on the Sound, probably lingcod. We got that opens up May 1st, so that we'll have a 6-week season there. And then it's always tough to be a good, nice big fat king salmon on, catching one out there too. So that's a real close. That's like 1A and 1B right there.
I like it.
How do you feel about with halibut fishing going to a quota rather than having a shorter season like we did last year?
I would actually prefer that. If you had a certain quota, the season supposedly is going to be a little longer this year. We got more quota this year, but the whole, I'm assuming you're referring to like each angler gets 2 fish or whatever it might be for the year.
Yeah.
And you can go catch them anytime. I would love that because the best halibut fishing is February, March, April time frame. And by the time we get the opening in May, a lot of these halibut have moved out of Puget Sound and stuff like that. And they do that in an effort to give us a longer season. But heck, I'd like to have I'd like to have a better shot at catching one in Puget Sound as opposed to having a longer season and not catching one. So I like that. And if you're accountable to that, and and they can figure out a way to do it, I think it would be really effective and a lot of fun, and give guys more options in this time of year and in the wintertime, stuff like that, stuff besides just salmon.
Yeah, because I remember, as a kid, going out halibut fishing, and you kind of follow them all the way from Possession Point or out at Port Angeles, and then all the way out to CQ, and you could just keep catching fish all the way down until they went back out into the ocean.
Right. Yeah, I wish we had that opportunity to do that a little bit, but unfortunately we just don't. And then the whole state's open at the same time, so if you want to go to Westport, I guess Westport will be open. They just announced today that Westport will be open on Sundays. South Coast will be, and then the rest of the state will be open on Saturdays. So I guess you could double dip a little bit that way, but yeah, it's it's a tough fishery inside of Puget Sound, and it's just because of the time of year that they open it.
Yeah, it's definitely a labor of love to figure out halibut fishing.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, if you guys have anything else for him, Robbie, thank you so much for your time. It was absolutely a pleasure talking to you. Do you have anything else that you want to plug, or?
No, hey, I guess I should plug my business. If you're looking for insurance, www.griffinmclean.com. We'd love to take care of you. Got a great staff there and good people, and they work really hard. So, other than that, I appreciate you guys having me, and I enjoyed it. It's always fun to talk a little football, and definitely fun to talk fishing always as well. So thanks for having me, guys.
Definitely love to have you on again sometime, and I'll definitely drop your link for your website on our page. So
sounds good. I appreciate that, guys.
All right, take care.
Wow, that was actually really cool. Robbie's a good dude. That was really good, man.
Wow.
Hey, shout out to Jeff out there. You know what I'm saying?
Jeff's basement.
Yeah.
He's not
a little
wrong.
weird.
So, again, that was Robbie Tobeck,
That was really cool, man.
Yeah, that was
former center for the Seahawks, 2-time Super Bowl appearance.
2-time NFC champion.
Yeah, man, that was really crazy, man.
Pooped his pants during the game.
Hey,
and he played through it too. So
I like it. Yo, that's crazy that they still had him play, even though that the virus that he had,
yeah.
could be as bad as he was saying it was.
It's
I'm
kind of
assuming it's just one of those things that are like, we can't afford
to not
have him.
I mean, yeah,
so we're just not going to tell people.
Right, I'm sure.
It's kind of like being in the military thing, where you're sick, but they're like, still go to work.
Yeah, here's some ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Man. Wow. Okay, so I'm still just blown away that we just did that. So Mariners are tied 2-2. And I saw Devin
they'll
said
win 17-3.
Blues are down 1-0, but there's still plenty of time. Great interview, guys. Thank you so much. When's the interview with LeBron James?
And
wait,
Basement?
this isn't ESPN. Man, I would love to have LeBron James on here just so I can ask him some flop questions. But I don't
Why
think
he thinks he's better than Kobe?
or Michael Jordan.
Or even Magic Johnson.
Yeah, well,
Oh man,
we're not gonna touch that.
That was nuts. That was
Not gonna touch that one. So yeah, that was Robbie Tobeck, guys. Phenomenal.
That was a great.
That was
interview.
awesome.
That was really cool.
So let's start our show then.